Okay, Harm, let's talk about the Canucks' path to victory without Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes is out week to week, 3 weeks or less, according to Darren Dreger on Sakaris and Price today on Monday. The Canucks' path to victory without Quinn Hughes, which didn't get off to a good start against the Seattle Kraken. They get another chance tomorrow on New Year's Eve against the Calgary Flames. Their path to victory, let's break it down.
Okay, so to set the table, and I don't think I am going to shock anyone with this information, but this team at 5-on-5 is really going to struggle without Quinn Hughes. Like the pathway for holding the fort down is slim. It is going to be challenging, and it's going to require luck. Because the way to look at it is this. During the Canucks last month with Quinn Hughes in the lineup, so between November 23rd to December 23, even with Quinn Hughes in the lineup, the Canucks ranked 32nd, dead last in the NHL at controlling 5-on-5 shot attempts. They were the NHL's worst team at controlling 5-on-5 play. Scoring chances weren't much better. They are also bottom 5 there. The other bottom five teams in controlling scoring chances in that time frame: Buffalo, Columbus, the Rangers, the Sharks.
Not company you want to be in.
Not company you want to be in. Now take Quinn Hughes out of that equation. It's going to be ugly. Like, they're going to be outshot and outchanced by wide margins for most of these games, even though the schedule, like over the next few games, they're not playing the toughest opponents.
And it gets tougher, but not yet.
So the pathway to win in that type of environment where you're more likely to get shelled at even strength is, first of all, you need your special teams to be on point, which in that Seattle game, I thought the penalty kill was really solid. The power play converted. So, and again, this is the frustrating part, is they executed a lot of what they needed to do to win without Quinn in that Seattle game. And of course, didn't walk away with the 2 points, but special teams, first and foremost, have to be on point. Then you look at goaltending, because if you're going to be outshot and outchanced, you are going to need saves. You're going to need your top shooters to, okay, if they aren't going to have these sustained shifts where they're dominating and spending a lot of time in the offensive zone, you're going to at least need the moments of brilliance where maybe it's an against the grain scoring chance where guy just rips a rocket and beats a goalie with a shot that he just can't realistically stop. Or, again, sort of similar to the Seattle game, you have these east-west passes that really break a defense down. And so it's like in that game, Canucks scored 4 goals. They didn't have a lot of shots, but the chances that they did, the Garland goal was soft. Grubauer would want that back. But other than that, when you look at the couple goals that Boeser had, for example, the DeBrusk tally, those were like 10 out of 10 scoring chances in terms of quality. You're going to need to find those pockets of just completely breaking a defense down, even if your overall shot and overall chance totals aren't too high.
You're going to need to play that grinded down game, and you just mentioned it. They played this game plan that we're kind of laying out here. They played it against Seattle. They played the grind it down, low event hockey. And you mentioned the non-Hughes minutes. We've talked about that a lot this year. The time on ice, when Quinn Hughes isn't on the ice, is legitimately a big problem for this team. Now, for the next few weeks, like, those are all non-Hughes minutes. And the other aspect of it all, I know the big focus on Quinn Hughes, as it should be, but there is one forward who has kept, or one center, I should say, one center who has kept his head above water without Quinn Hughes in terms of matchups and in terms of, winning your battles. One forward or one center who has done that this season, that's Elias Pettersson, who is also out with an injury. So that kind of complicates things as well and makes this an even tougher blow for the Canucks to manage without Quinn Hughes in the lineup.
Yeah, the other thing that you're going to need is Eric Brandstrom to really step up. And when you look at that Seattle game, he, first of all, led all the defense, or not even just all the defensemen, all the players in 5-on-5 minutes, nearly 17 minutes at that game state. And he played well. The Canucks outshot the Kraken 10-4 in those minutes, controlled nearly 70% of expected goals. he was really solid. He was breaking up plays off the rush. I think in the first period, for example, there was a 2-on-1 chance, the Beniers one, where I think, was that the one where Desharnais fell too? Either way, Branson sort of bailed them out with a shot block in that moment, and we'll see the consistency, right? Because when Brandstrom was first called up, he was brilliant for his first stretch of games. There was a bit of a lull during his previous 10 games, and now with the holiday break, hopefully that was a bit of a reset for him. The Seattle game, I'm hopeful that will build confidence for him, because they're going to need his speed. They're going to need his puck moving to help orchestrate some semblance of offense from the back end.
Another thing, don't compound mistakes. That's an obvious one. We talk about it all the time. We talked about it earlier on today's show, but don't compound those mistakes. That's what cost you the game against Seattle. There's one. Another one, again, another one that they did and they got. Top line's got to play well. I thought the top line was pretty damn good against Seattle. That Miller, DeBrusk, and Boeser trio. They were good. They were good in that game, and you're going to need them to be good, especially against these lesser opponents. When the games ramp up, you're going to need them to be good as well. But when you really need to get these points against teams like Seattle, against teams like Calgary, Nashville, Montreal, you need to get these points. You're going to need those guys to be difference makers, because that's what sets you apart from those teams that I just mentioned, is having those difference makers at the top of your lineup. Not every team has those guys.
Well, not just the top line, but I'm also looking at Connor Garland to be a catalyst, because when you look at the last few seasons, or even just this season, among the forwards, I'm not saying he's been their best forward overall, because point production wise, it's not about just the points. When you look at the underlying numbers and just like driving play and being a one person unit who can drive, sort of transport pucks up the ice, win battles, make things happen, elevate your line mates. So far this season, he has been their most effective 5-on-5 play driver, and especially with no Hughes and no Pettersson, they need him to be dictating plays out there and be at the absolute apex of his game, where Garland, it's been a really good season overall for him. I think because he's not an elite player, over the last maybe 10 or 15 games, he hasn't been as dynamic of a play driver. Since late, I'd say December as a whole was a quieter month for Garland from that standpoint. Now, part of that, I think, is because he spent chunks of that with JT Miller, like before the holiday break. And what I noticed when Garland was playing with Miller was, because Miller and Garland are both puck-dominant players, both like to have the puck on their stick, Garland almost had to change his role and be more of like the finding soft ice, and there were sequences where Miller would set Garland up for a prime scoring chance and Garland would finish, and it didn't work because Garland's finishing is arguably his biggest weakness. But now that Garland is on his own line, essentially, with Suter and Höglander, like, he needs to be the driver of that second line. He has the opportunity to be that puck-dominant player again, and they're going to need him to be a consistent force, because he realistically has the potential to be that type of presence.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, folks, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, check us out wherever you get your podcasts as well. Subscribe to us there. Leave us a nice little review.